Trinidad and Tobago, the twin island state, blessed with rich deposits of natural oil and gas, established itself as an industrial capital within the Caribbean. However, in the continual effort to diversify Trinidad and Tobago's economic market and shift focus from the traditional oil and gas sector, the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications has pinpointed the country's maritime sector as one of the industries in which to facilitate growth and development. Heading the movement is the Maritime Industry Development Committee, MIDC. Established by Cabinet in 2005, it consists of organizations and personnel who are key stakeholders in the merchant marine industry throughout the years. Shedding the light on the function of the MIDC in the development of the maritime sector and expansion of Trinidad and Tobago's economy is the committee chairman, Ernest Ashley Taylor, who spoke openly about the group's responsibilities.
The role of the Maritime Industry Development Committee, better known as the MIDC, really is to provide support to the Ministry of Trade in respect of development of the maritime industry. And who better to provide that guidance to the Ministry of Trade than the people that know the industry inside, of the people who have been involved in the industry and developing the industry for several years. So basically our role is to provide a level of support through analysis of the industry, understanding what the vision is of the government, and incorporating that into the advice that we provide, getting feedback from stakeholders in terms of what their issues are, and basically putting that forward as far as developmental projects are concerned.
Bearing witness to Singapore's rise as a maritime powerhouse in Asia and as a leader in East-West trade, the government of Trinidad and Tobago harbors a similar vision for the local maritime industry in establishing itself as the logistics center of maritime activity, both regionally and in particularly the North American and South American trade routes. The MIDC, in conjunction with the Ministry of Trade, have actively been working toward achieving this vision through the execution of various projects and initiatives.
One of the things that they're doing now, and it's the forefront of everyone's lips right now, is that we are looking very closely at the development of ports. The Ministry of Trade had commissioned a feasibility study on the development of a new port in Labray. But as far as the infrastructural part is concerned in terms of development, that is what is going on. The ports in themselves right now, as part of the phase program for improving efficiency, are continuously upgrading their equipment fleet to ensure that at the very least a minimum level of reliability is provided. From the technology point of view, the Ministry of Trade as well, we have over the last couple of years, they have implemented the sync electronic window, and I believe last year they would have received an award as well in terms of the implementation of that sync electronic window, or what has been implemented and how successful it has been. In addition to that, through Customs and Ministry of Finance, the Acicuda system has been implemented by Customs. Major part of it has been implemented. There's still some work to be done. For example, the integration of the Acicuda with the single electronic window. The ministry is actively looking at additional incentives as well to attract business, attract companies here to develop the maritime industry. So the fact that we already have incentives as far as reduced duties and taxes for importation of raw materials and equipment, tax holidays for companies that are involved in the sector, reduction of tax dividends as well for companies that are involved in the maritime sector.
On the international stage, vast changes are currently occurring within the maritime sector, which presents both challenges and opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago's long-term vision. One such development is the widening of the Panama Canal.
Currently, as it stands now, the maximum size vessel that could traverse the Panama Canal is approximately 5,000 TEUs. With the completion of the Panama Canal, the maximum size vessels will be 12,500 TEUs. So it's going to be a substantial increase. With these larger size vessels now, the large shipping lines particularly, they are going to be deploying more and more of these large vessels into the Atlantic trade. And we are really a part and parcel of that Atlantic trade. So smaller size vessels are being phased out gradually, and more the larger size vessels are being placed into service. The opportunity and the threat for us is twofold. If we were to focus only on domestic trade, we are going to find ourselves in a position that if we cannot facilitate or accommodate large vessels, what's going to happen is that we will end up being predominantly a feeder type port. So the large lines will place cargo that's destined for Trinidad at a major transshipment hub, and then the goods will be transshipped from that location to us. The consequence of that is the potential for the cost of goods to get here to go up. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is that if we're talking about growth and diversifying the economy from the dependence on natural gas, we want to talk about developing the Trinidad and Tobago as a maritime hub. We have to position ourselves to accommodate these large vessels so that we ourselves can focus on transshipment and growth.
The MIDC, like many of the sectors under the Ministry of Trade, Industry, Investment and Communications Economic Diversification Scheme, have devised a strategic plan for the execution of projects and proposals pertaining to the maritime industry. Some of the goals highlighted in this strategic plan pertain to legislative and regulatory reform, institutional reform, human resource development, and developing competitive maritime industry clusters.
That strategic plan for the industry is going to really be like a guide or a rule book for the ministry to implement a number of the key initiatives. So right about now, I would say that within the next month or so, we should be in the position to actually award the contract. The plan itself should not take more than about 4 or 5 months or so. So basically what comes out of the strategic plan is going to propel us into the development of some of these key initiatives.
With a solid strategic plan in hand and confident backing from the MTIIC, there is little doubt the MIDC will continue to lead Trinidad and Tobago's maritime industry towards a brighter future as a beacon for maritime activity within the region and significantly contribute to the overall expansion of the country's economic market.